Hello, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, good whatever time zone you're in. We are on Speed Gaming 2 tonight, bringing you a Link to the Past Randomizer tournament bracket stage match between NYRambler and Yoshi. This is a number 3 seed Yoshi versus number 62 seed NYRambler, with Yoshi up one game, so do or die moment for the underdog Rambler here. And as this is game 2, NYRambler got to make a settings change. Changed it to Fast Ganon, so I will introduce my partner on the mic tonight. Wolflink, tell us what Fast Ganon is. Tell us what it means. Tell us what we're going to be seeing tonight, please.
Good evening, everyone, and yes, Fast Ganon. Well, I hate to say it, but you Big Key guessing game fans are not going to have the game tonight. We are going to not need to go up Ganon's tower to fight the pig. The pyramid is already open for us. We just need to fulfill the goal, which is still collecting 7 crystals.
Yep. 7 crystals, and then you just run straight over to the pyramid. Of course, you can run to the pyramid sooner if you want to, although I think Ganon will just call you a dingus and send you on your way if you do.
Yep.
So.
Now, not to say we may not see GT tonight, but it is also locked by 7 crystals. However, swords are the main issue there.
Yeah, it's a super low percent sort of thing. But if we've got 3 swords in GT, or 2 in GT and the other 2 in really silly locations, there's a non-zero chance we could see the runners head up into the tower anyways, and they'll just be leaving as soon as they get a Master Sword. There's pretty much no other scenario where you can go into GT needing progression to kill Ganon, because you don't need the silver arrows, and it's impossible to get to GT without a fire source of some form.
Indeed. Now, a thing I would like to see for this race is actually an agate required seed. Because that would mean there's at least 1, potentially 2 swords available, depending on where the cape is split.
Potentially, yeah. It would guarantee 1 sword. You do have to cut the curtain at the end. But 2 is possible. You need either 2 or the magic cape to get into the tower to begin with. So that's possible. I wouldn't like to see it just because if I wanted to watch them climb that tower, I'd go watch vanilla no major glitches speedruns, or even vanilla all dungeon speedruns.
And we are off. Both runners starting at Link's house.
Looking like the uncle. Well, no, not the uncle for NYRambler. He's going off. He's going to check some 50-50 bushes to try to get bomb drops on the next screen. And then he'll be straight off to Kakariko Village while Yoshi is going and checking the uncle.
Yeah, uncle is a common route, as is what I like to call South-North Kakariko, because you get guaranteed bombs here. And with the price pack changes, you may not get a guaranteed bombs in the Uncle route anymore. But it is a quick item. And oh my goodness, that's a sword! Immediate sword on Uncle.
That's nice. That means we've only got to find 1 more before we can rule out Ganon's tower here. You'll love to see it. Meanwhile, on Rambler's side, he did get a bomb from both of those 50-50 drop bushes south of the Grove. And he's just taking them straight up. Nothing useful on the race game, nothing useful on the library. So it'll be the back of the tavern for him as Yoshi is taking his sword right into the castle.
Makes sense to me. Unfortunately, a shield for NYRambler. No one likes the shield. Well, I'm okay with fire shield, but any of the other ones, no. Don't bother giving it to me. Just give me the fire shield.
If we were going to GT this seed, I'd say Fire Shield for Landmola's 2 is great, but that's not a thing this seed, so who cares about Shield?
Really, I want it for Blind. Gives you just a little bit of safety, not a lot.
Yeah, it can help a little bit if the fight gets a little out of whack, which does happen even to the best runners. Rambler's taking his 2nd bomb and opening the rat hut.
Yeah, this is a really good spot to grind bombs. There's 1 in each of the corner pots, and there's even a pack of 5 arrows in the top center pot. So it's a really good resupply room if you can use it. There's another shield in the castle escape.
Yeah, Yoshi's just playing low percent vanilla here. No problem.
No problem. Kakariko well, a veritable hotspot of items. Oh boy! There we go. There's boots, and there is also merchant money right there for Rambler.
Yep. Rambler can go fast. If there was something on the library, he could run right back down and get it, but that was just a red rupee.
Yeah. Also the hammer on the merchant. And library was only 20 rupees. I saw that.
Yeah, so not seeing Rambler go for that, as I believe we saw number crystals 1, 2, and 3 all in the light world, which is a bit strange.
So 3 crystals in the light world. I think it was crystal 7 actually for Eastern, but I'm not sure. But regardless, it's 3 blue crystals. None of the 5, 6 are here in the light world.
No pendants in the light world either. And we did also see a bottle on Rambler's side there, so once he runs up out of this hut, he can run right back down to the sit kit and get the last item in Kakariko, not having to leave that behind and come back later.
Yeah. It is a little inefficient because of the way Rambler chose to route it, because he has to double back, essentially. But the boots will mitigate that considerably.
Yeah, and even the slight bit of inefficiency in having to walk back and forth beats. Yeah, that was an ice shot on Yoshi's side from the Mini Mortarm Cave Thief or Generous Guy or whatever he actually is.
Yeah, and on top of that, it was also the magical boomerang, which can be used to do one of our newest tricks that we have allowed, which is splash deletion.
As I recall, that one requires a bow as well, so while it's exciting that he might be able to show that off with the boomerang, I'm not going to get too excited about it until we see that bow.
Yeah. And for those who don't know what splash deletion is, basically we can fake flipper anywhere we want with that, as we get a glove for NYRambler.
Yeah, the technical details behind splash deletion is basically you overload the number of sprites on the screen using some combination of that bow that we see. The red boomerang, the cane of Samaria, bombs. I think the only one that's really hard required to do it is the bow. But you overload the number of sprites on the screen, and then you jump into the water, and it doesn't cause the splash animation. Because there is no splash animation, the game doesn't attempt to drown Link, and you can just swim.
Piece of heart on Lumberjack, and also nice blessing on the bow, by the way. Oh, there's the fire rod now as well. We know where both rods are.
Yep, that fire rod is going to require the mirror to get to. It logically requires the flippers, but with the boots available, you can do some water walk trickery to get around that particular requirement.
Yeah.
But that's something... We might see the flippers before we get the Dark World access to even get to that part of the map, so we'll worry about that later.
Yoshi heading over to Sahasrara, avoiding Kakariko, which is an interesting play. Gives Rambler a little bit of time to catch up. Or at least make some headway. There. Words. Another sword.
Ganon's tower is dead, and you love to see it. Yeah, you say that Ramblers can have the time to catch up. Really, at this point, it's time for him to get ahead with those boots. Because those South Shore checks that Yoshi did to get ahead, yeah, Rambler's not going to skip those for long. And there wasn't anything of value except the shield in the castle dungeon that Yoshi did. So, not losing any time there. Yeah. And Rambler has the boots. So pretty much everything he does with the boots that Yoshi does without the boots is Rambler saving time. And this Eastern Palace that Yoshi's in, a ton of straightaways and long rooms that you can use the boots in.
Yeah, really, Rambler's getting a slow but assured time lead going here, which could matter. Or there could be a huge swing with Yoshi knowing information that Rambler doesn't, like the ice rod location, the fire rod location. the bow location, because Ice Rock Cave's not exactly a place normal someone would check. Sometimes they abandon that location.
I really don't see Rambler abandoning that with the boots. It's not a very long walk when you can dash it.
No, I don't see him abandoning it either, but the possibility is still there. We don't know what's going on in his head after all.
Yeah, that's true. I don't like assuming that runners will skip locations until they show a propensity to do so.
Oh, there's
As Yoshi finds,
our knowledge of Dark World access.
as soon as Yoshi gets over to Kakariko, he will have that Dark World access. Well, I say that. The glove's technically in the Lost Woods, so depending on how he routes it. But that's just technicalities at this point.
Yeah.
Once Yoshi finishes his Kakariko region checks, he'll have Dark World access.
Yeah, I consider Lost as part of Kakariko because it's in that same region.
Of course, I cannot remember what was in the first chest of Eastern Palace, so I'm not sure if that's 3 items for Yoshi or 2 items and a compass or what.
I think it was a compass. And it looks like it was 1, 3, and 7.
Oh. Yeah. 7 looks like
Again.
a 2 when it's flashing. Kinda, sorta,
What?
maybe. Who cares?
Regardless, it doesn't matter. There are no red crystals that we need for Periphery, and there's no pendants in the Light World. So everything important in this seed for any sort of extra checks is in the Dark World. Green pendant, 5, 6 crystals. The other 2 pendants in case somehow a ped seed, which I doubt.
Yeah, a lot of our favorite pet options are already off the table. Although there is one thing to call out. I said earlier the castle didn't have anything in it. I completely forgot Yoshi got his first sword off of the uncle. So that is something Rambler doesn't have, and that's why he resorted to bee strats there in the mini Moldworm Cave. Didn't have a better weapon to clear out the Moldworms.
Another big key here, so by technicality, the Eastern Palace is lamp locked because you cannot go to fight the boss that is the Armos Knights without a fire source. And you need the big key right here for this door.
Yep. If the big key were anywhere else in the dungeon, then the fire rod that we saw on the Lake Hylia Island would be good enough for the logic here. But that isn't the case here, as you explained. And honestly, the fire rod may be lamp locked in a roundabout way anyways.
Yeah.
Oh, we saw Rambler actually dash off the side of that pit, try to get out of that. He was trying to set up a water walk. With the way he bonked, I'm not sure he did, but we'll find out fairly shortly once he jumps down.
And I think Yoshi has found all 3 items in Eastern Palace because Yoshi has left behind the big chest.
Yeah, when we saw his menu after he got the big key, we saw he didn't have a map or a compass. That means that one's on Armos and the other's in the big chest.
Oh
And
no!
Rambler does not have the Moon Pearl, so when he leaves this cave, he's not going to be in a water walk state. He's going to be flippering. That's a bit unfortunate, but
You can get on the dry land and then fake flipper and just walk over to Zor from here.
Yeah, he's going to have to do that. I was thinking about the ledge, but a water walk like he had set up wouldn't let him check the ledge anyways. He would need the splash delete for that, but the ledge is nothing regardless.
Yeah.
Okay. So Yoshi puts down the Armos Knights in clean fashion, gets his first crystal.
I was about to say that, yeah. It's only less than 12 minutes in. Might be looking at a fast seed, which, no pun intended, it's well fast Ganon. Alright, King Sir, what do you got for us? This isn't logic, so, well, fortunately it's nothing.
Yep, Power Glove does put that in logic because the vanilla way to get there is by lifting the rock right next to the witch's hut and taking the long walk up. That gets you the flippers in vanilla, so obviously the flippers can't be the only logical access.
Indeed. Certainly a faster way to get up there, though.
Rambler is not checking the uncle. He is going straight into the castle dungeon. Taking his bow, doesn't have the sword that uncle will give him. Also saying no to Eastern Palace means it will be a little while longer before he gets his Moon Pearl.
I really don't know what to say about this play from Rambler. Him avoiding uncle seems like a choice.
My expectation is that he'll take a Death Warp in Zelda's cell. If he's feeling gutsy and knows the Dark Rooms, which I'm sure he does, he made it to the top 64 of the tournament, he'll go for the Dark Cross afterwards. And then he'll take another Death Warp out of there, and that'll be the Uncle checks. Although I'm still not sure why he wouldn't do that first.
Yeah. That's what's confusing me here. Well, like I said earlier, we don't know we're not in the minds of these runners.
Yeah, we can speculate all we want, but we're not the runners, so the best we can do is ask them about it afterwards.
Now, one thing we could presume, although it may not be true, is Rambler's trying to cut corners anywhere he can in order to stay alive in the tournament, because this is an elimination round for him. If he loses, he is eliminated from the tournament.
Yeah, and just based off the seeding here, you would have to call him an underdog to begin with. Like I said at the start of the match, Yoshi came out of the group stage as the number 3 seed for the entire bracket. He took wins over Death King and J-Measure in the group stage. Meanwhile, Rambler came in as the number 62 seed for the bracket out of 64.
Yeah.
Of course, his loss in the group stage was to the number 1 overall seed in the bracket, Jim, but let's not talk about that.
Yeah, that feels like it was weighted odds against, unfortunately.
Yep. Yoshi does get his Dark World access there as he picks up that hammer from the bottle vendor. He's still got a few Kakariko checks left on the south side of it, but we'll see if he runs his way back up to the Village of Outcast portal to go straight to the Dark World, or if he makes another choice afterwards.
Now, it looks like Rambler is actually choosing to abandon Dark Cross for the time being instead of Uncle, which I think is the more reasonable play.
Did we see a map in the back 3
Yes.
of the sewers? Oh, he's going
Map-
back in, so not abandoning.
Yeah, map and small key.
Okay, 'cause, yeah, my first thought was maybe we didn't see the map and he knows that. That's why he's abandoning, but no, he's just coming back in.
Oh, you know what? He was initially not going to do Dark Cross because he didn't have a sword to see himself in the dark. That makes a little more sense.
That's also very possible. Yeah, having a sword makes his dark rooms so much easier just because you can tell where you are at all times. And also, since he's got the boots, if he knows about it, he can do a really nice bonk setup to find the chest. It's basically, if you bonk off the torch in the far bottom right of the room, you are right in front of the chest. And looks like that is exactly what he's trying to do here.
Only a heart piece.
But he did find it fairly quickly, and that's time that if Yoshi goes back and checks that once he checks the back 3 in the sewers at some point, that is time he's going to spend. Because Yoshi's going... wait, no, he's just taking the long way around to the portal because he doesn't have mitts to lift the rock.
Yeah. So, 17 minutes in, we will have our first look at Dark World and see where our pendants and crystals lie, hopefully. Map check. Thieves Town, Ice, and Misery Mire are our pendants. Pendant Mire being the green one. 5-6 is Skullwoods and Swamp.
I guess the good news with Crystal Swamp is that you have to find the flippers in the mirror regardless, and that's also your fire rod access on Lake Hylia Island. But Pendant Thieves Town, who wants to see that?
Well, there has been good value in the front four of these now. You should, I think, at least in that regard, you should check through the overall check. But maybe if you have the mirror, it'll be more appetizing.
I mean, sure, there's little reason not to check it, as Yoshi is opening it up and going to go in. But it'd just be so much more appealing as a crystal where you can just walk in and full clear it and not have to worry about anything. Like, someone in chat is pointing out that Yoshi hates Pendant Thieves Town, and I would honestly say for very good reason. Chat's also saying I shot on Ped. Sorry, chat, that one's not happening today. If you look at the trackers, we already found that.
Yeah. So it was Swamp, Thieves Town, and Mr. Myers are pendants. Oh no, that was not that, right?
Swamp was the 5/6, Ice was the crystal. Or
Yeah.
Ice was the pendant, excuse me. Doesn't look like anything of note was in the front four of Thieves. Looks like Yoshi's just taking the Death Warp, though.
So I'm thinking about it, and really the only thing we could have on pedestal, I think, is whatever medallions require Return to Rock, if medallions from Iron Turtle Rock are different.
We could have the mirror if the Bombos medallion is available to get us into Ice Palace. We could also have the hook shot depending on Ice Palace key layouts. But yeah, it's a fairly limited selection.
Also, it's kind of bad to see Turtle Rock in this seed being a required dungeon as well. You ideally don't want to see Hera and Turtle Rock pendants, so you don't ever have to go up the mountain for much other than the overall checks.
I mean, yeah, that would be ideal, but at the same time, in this seed, we know where both rods are, so we know at least the seed's not going to degenerate into a hunt for those. And everything else we need for Turtle Rock access, except the Cane of Samaria, we also already need for other stuff as well. So it's not a big deal, in my opinion.
Alright, well, Legacy of the Reputation. Here comes the Hype Cave. What do we got? What do we got? 20 rupees to start things off. A heart container. Sand card, actually. Titan's Mitts. Another piece of heart. And yet another piece of heart. Which gives another heart. Titan's Mitts are important. Very important.
Absolutely. Hype Cave's a location that's built a reputation that absolutely precedes itself based on versions of the randomizer that did things that it no longer does. But I'll take the mitts. Absolutely.
Yeah, mitts make that immediately like a 6 for me because, well, we need those for Turtle Rock. And in case of chat, we also need those in order to make Ped alive. If they really want Ped to have something.
In addition to Turtle Rock, those mitts could be 1/3 of our Desert Palace access. Obviously, the book will get you in the front door as intended, but Flute, Mitts, and Mirror will do it as well.
Yeah. Actually, now that I think about it, that's another thing that could be on pedestals the book, with the mirror in desert.
Yeah, I would partially consider that a fetch quest towards Mirror, but only partially if the mirror is actually in the desert.
Indeed.
See, I think Rambler missed his quick kill. Yeah, he missed his quick kill setup by killing the first Armos on the left when he was firing into it to set it up, but still put it down fairly quickly. Only a couple extra arrows used.
Yeah. Really, with good execution, the quick kill only saves maybe 5 seconds, I'd say, give or take.
closer to 2 or 3, but it still looks nice, it's still satisfying, and it is still a time save, which when you're in a race like this, you want all the time save you can get.
And Palace of Darkness is bow locked as we're getting our first look at it here. Map in the first chest.
Bow lock would be vaguely interesting if the bow wasn't a Sphere 1 location in this seed, but
Indeed.
it's still a thing. As we see a nice statue push and spin from Yoshi off the Helmasaur. Mini Helmasaur there. I cannot words right now, apparently. But pushed him right up towards the door, and that's the exact opposite of a time loss. Regardless, Rambler is taking his crystal straight to Hype Cave where he'll get his mitts. With these mitts, it's pretty conceivable to think that he'll route from Hype Cave up towards Village of Outcasts, where Yoshi did the opposite route to run around towards Palace of Darkness. But he could also run up to Pod himself if he really wants. It is a crystal. He can full clear it, assuming the Dark Rooms don't give him any trouble. And both plays are real valid here, really.
Yeah, shame we're not going to see that potion break glitch, although we did at the bow to begin with. And Yoshi, despite having a bottle, that bottle has a bee in it. So, wouldn't be able to do it anyway.
No, but if he was coming here without the bow somehow, I am fairly confident he would have taken a couple seconds to acquire a potion and set it up.
And there... What is with the lamp being in that little spot up there in the Palace of Darkness? That's just hilarious to me. It's like lighting the entire dungeon. If you think about it, that's the highest point in the dungeon.
Lamp and Pod is actually one of the most interesting things to see in the randomizer, just because a lot of the dungeon feels like it's locked by the lamp, but the Dark Maze can't have any keys in it, so that's really only 3 chests. And the Dark Basement, it can have keys in it, but at the same time, it takes a few keys logically to open that up, and there have to be 4 keys in the front to begin with.
Yeah.
So it's a bit iffy, which means that pretty much every chest that's not directly already in the Dark in Pod has good odds of having a lamp in it.
There's some armor for Yoshi. Now, something else to note is that because of the change to version 31, the lamp can be actually in this Dark Basement.
Yeah, that is true. If you have the fire rod, which we didn't really call it out in detail, but the flippers were in the Village of Outcasts, so we are halfway to having access to that fire rod, then you can be expected by logic to use the fire rod to light up those torches in the dark. And chat's actually calling out, with a small key in the Dark Basement, the lamp is actually fire rod locked. So the mirror is not going to be in the dark today.
And yes, that is correct, because if you understand key logic, or if you don't understand it rather, the basic idea is the key logic assumes that you use all of your keys in the worst way possible. So, if Yoshi used all available small keys that were not locked by the Dark Rooms to go, say, to finish the boss and leave that one chest behind, that would mean the chest is lamp locked, and thus, or fire source locked, and thus, it's lamp locked. Or fire rod locked in this case. And you can apply that same mental thing to all the dungeons, really. It does get a little bit more complex, though, with some dungeons like Misery Mire.
Actually, Misery Mire's key logic is stupidly simple. It only comes into play with the fire rod chests, and the only bit of key logic that matters in that dungeon, if there's a small key on the fire rod, or on the fire lot side, the big key has to be there as well. That's it.
Yeah. There's a more nuance behind it, as far, if I recall correctly, but that's all you really need to know.
Yeah, there's a bit of detail in there for sure, but Yeah, it's simple. And I mean, Chad is calling out that, like you said, yes, there are technically details to it, but as a runner, all you really need to know.
Yeah.
And to answer Chad about stealing keys, like the pot key in the back of Desert Palace, the logic does account for the possibility that you will do that. It accounts for it in Desert Palace, it accounts for it in Thieves Town, it accounts for it everywhere where there are keys under pots.
Yeah, it even accounts for it in Swamp Palace. Not that there's any reason to steal the key in Swamp Palace, to be perfectly honest.
You steal the key in Swamp Palace to make the left side faster if you already have the hook shot when you're entering, right?
Yeah, I suppose you could do that. But if you're going to Swamp Palace, you're either going full clear with left side or just gonna go back to left side in a double dip. Anyway, Skullwood's here as Helmosaur falls.
Helmosaur's not down yet. Yoshi was having a lot of trouble setting up those hammer hits on the jewel there. Had to resort to some fairly dangerous sword slashes and only had 2 hearts left at the end of it.
Yeah, I didn't realize that. Half magic is the reward for defeating the boss. Not bad.
Not bad, but really somewhat lacking in progression. Because, I mean, we saw the lamp in there, but being able to logic out that that is fire locked to begin with when we already know where the fire rod is, the most it does is that it hints a bit towards the mirror location. You know that you won't have to traverse a dark room to find the mirror.
It also means, if we were to take it a one step further, the mirror, as far as we know right now, is not on Death Mountain. Because our only logical access is through a dark room.
Actually, the one thing it does do is it takes the mirror off the pedestal. Logically, you have to have the lamp to clear the dark rooms in Misery Mire.
That is also true.
So yeah, that's actually a big relief for the runners if they're thinking about that.
That also means sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, we've got Rambler in the front 4 of Thieves Town. He's going to find absolutely nothing here, so no decision for us until we see whether he goes on or not.
That's something I also noticed, because of the whole thing that Pet is dead, that also means we're going to have access to... That also means our desert access will not be locked by pedestal either. Unless it's... Because we're going to have the flute before we even... To get to Mr. Meyer, we know the mirror's out there somewhere. And it can't be locked behind desert at this point, as we know.
If you're rooting for Pet at this point, your only real option, I think, is a Meyer medallion. Or not a Meyer medallion, a Turtle Rock medallion. And we do see Rambler opting to continue on in Thieves Town.
Oh.
It's a pendant, not even a green one, but...
Yeah, I didn't quite see how many items Rambler got out of here.
I think it was just 1 in the front 4, may have been 2. I know it was a compass in the first chest, and the big key has to be in the first 4. He'll menu to bomb shortly, so we'll be able to double check his menu then, see if he's got both the map and the compass.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Yoshi checking a chest we haven't seen yet. The hobo giving us a heart container. That's 10 hearts. That's pretty safe health total considering blue mail.
Okay, Rambler does not have the map. That means 2 items in the front 4 of Thieves Town.
There's
and a mirror in the top.
Alright, so...
Rambler doesn't know about the fire rod, though.
Rambler does not know about the fire or the logic behind the mirror. But the mirror is required in a pendant dungeon that Yoshi has left behind. Which I think is the more pressing point to make.
Oh yeah, you're absolutely right. That's a huge find for Rambler, and not just because of the fire rod lock. Like you said, Yoshi did choose to leave Thieves Town behind after the front four. With it being a pendant, he won't be back there that soon unless the seed hard bottlenecks on that mirror.
Also, as far as we know, the lamp logic is now available. So Death Mountain, if they knew everything that we do, Death Mountain would be the ideal play, I would say.
Death Mountain is not a great play for Yoshi right now, just because he has no way to the east side. But once Rambler makes his way all the way around, Mirror plus Hammer will get him to the east side, so that's a perfectly good play for him.
Yeah, and that's what I'm alluding to. Based on what we know, the lamp is now in logic, because we did find the mirror as well.
Yeah, but I'm saying even knowing what Yoshi knows, until he finds that mirror, the mountain is not a good play. Unless you hit the moonshot of hookshot on the mountain.
Yeah, I was speaking from a collective standpoint. It would be a good play.
Yeah, collectively, and for Rambler specifically, once he goes around and gets that fire rod, really, the mountain is a good play.
A little off script here. Does have the red potion as a safety. This fight can be really dangerous if it gets out of hand. Good recovery though.
Yep. Also, you mentioned the fire shield earlier, like way back when we found 2 shields in different locations. It tanked twice, which means Rambler would have used that potion if he didn't have it.
Yeah, it can help. Fire shield's actually quite useful, and if you are done with it, you can still get rid of it, which is why I like it the most out of all 3 shields.
We do see Yoshi, by the way, going up the mountain, rescuing the old man. So we will get to see 2.5 checks here. He'll get an item from the old man. He can get the item inside Spectacle Rock if he wants to, and he can see but not get what's on top of it. But unless one of the 2 items he can get is the hook shot, that'll end his mountain trip real quick.
Tempered sword. Never picks. I'm sorry, the pot not letting him pick up the item threw me off.
Yeah, I gotta throw that pot. Sorry, man.
But that's also a really good find. That's a huge combat advantage for Rambler on top of the early speed advantage he had from that, and the mirror. Things are starting to fill up, and there's a mushroom on the Spectacle Rock location.
Yeah. I didn't talk about it before, even though I kind of wanted to, but in general, I am actually a big fan of the delayed Kakariko play that Yoshi made. However, in this seed, with the boots and a bottle in Kakariko directly, you lose pretty much any benefit of that play. So that's advantage Rambler on its own. And even aside from that, this seed has just been turning up Rambler's way pretty much the whole way through, it feels like.
Yeah. This might go to game 3.
Yeah, I don't want to get ahead of ourselves yet, because I do feel like on the whole, while Rambler's execution has been solid, Yoshi's has been a little cleaner. But with Rambler getting the advantage in the way he's routed and some of those checks coming up his way, like the mirror specifically, not going to count him out.
Yeah, this is a classic battle, I'd say, between routing versus execution. And not to say that neither runner is good at, is not that great at the other. But this could come down to just NYRambler making all the right routing decisions. And even then, oh wait a minute, that's a development. Flute is required this seed. Books on Desert Ledge.
Yeah, I'd be happy with that. Even knowing that Meyer is a pendant, I'd be happy with that just because the flute to get around is always nice to have. And we are seeing actually almost synced Agina checks here. They're both just pulling 10 arrows. Yoshi didn't check the ledge, though. He doesn't know about that book. He doesn't know he'll be finding the flute at some point.
And I've lost my train of thought. What was I saying earlier?
The flute requirement, because we have to get into Desert Palace somehow, and we can't get to the book without getting to the Desert Palace.
Oh, right, no, I was talking about routing versus execution. I remember now.
Yeah, that too.
Just because one person's good at routing, one person's good at execution, does not necessarily mean they're bad at the other, is what I was trying to get at. There's Rambler's Fire Shield getting eaten. Nice. Now, if he finds a third shield, he'll automatically get the mirror shield, so...
And here is Rambler not knowing about that fire rod, walking right by it. It hurts a little bit. It's unfortunate.
Well, actually, he might still check it.
I have to imagine he's going to walk up to Catfish after this, though.
I'm thinking he might head back south and check with the mirror hobo. And then swim down to the lake. Yeah, he's checking the lake.
Oh, yeah, he's going to do Hobo. He might check the lake after this. Hopefully, for his sake, he does and sees that fire rod. And then he's going to just walk straight into Palace of Darkness afterwards. I completely forgot that he hadn't done Hobo yet.
Yeah, he water walked, but he didn't come over this way because he would have lost the water walk.
Yeah, that's true. He could have gotten a fake flipper back out of the water walk, or out of the Hobo here. But without the Moon Pearl at the time he did those checks, that wouldn't have done him any good because he wouldn't have been able to check the Waterfall Cave.
Oh, what? Okay, he's just defying all our expectations now. He went to Pyramid. He went to Pyramid and double back to Catfish, then he's doubling back again to go to... you know what I was trying to say.
Yeah. There's a medallion in Skull Woods, but I'm surprised by the lack of a pod play from Rambler here. We'll see if Catfish pays out. If that's another thing that comes up his way, that could be another huge edge, because when will Yoshi get to here? But
I'm still confused by his choice of routing here. Pyramid to Hobo to Catfish. When he already passed both locations. I'm confused now. 20 rupees on Catfish.
Okay, so where next for Rambler? I could see him going straight to the mountain. Would be a little unfortunate if Hera required a fire source. Would also be a little unfortunate if he found the Turtle Rock access up on the mountain. But, oh, this might be a island check. Yeah, this is going to be an island check for him.
Yeah, he's going to see it now. It's like, oh, that's important. And back to he goes.
I believe the correct term in this situation is dope.
Yeah, well, he is playing as Homer Simpson sprite, and I don't actually know what Yoshi's sprite is.
I think Yoshi's is a generic dragon of some form. Chat's saying it's Spyro. That may be the case. I'm not actually sure.
It's really hard to tell because the default color is green on this sprite. Reminder that Yoshi is wearing blue mail.
Yeah, and that did recolor his sprite. So now Rambler's getting his fire rod. Is he going to follow this into Palace of Darkness? Maybe following it up. Actually, probably Skull Wood, since he can fully clear it, right?
Probably.
Could also be the mountain from here, though. He doesn't have the flute, so he'd have to save and quit to Sank for it.
Really, the only advantage Rambler has is the knowledge of the mirror. I don't think Yoshi's going to be checking that mirror location anytime soon. And if there's any progression... Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, go on. I was gonna say my expectation. My expectation is that Yoshi will last location the back of Thieves Town, and consequentially the mirror.
My thought is the mirror might lock further progression, like our flute, which would be good for Rambler because that might. Well, actually, no, it could be good for both runners because for Rambler, it could let him progress further and get a bigger lead. But in Yoshi's case, it also locks more locations for him to check. So in turn, he'll eventually get course to finding the mirror. Or faster.
Yeah, at this point, the worst thing for Yoshi would be is if the only thing the mirror locked was the fire rod. Like, if everything else is on or behind Death Mountain, instead of, say, in Swamp Palace or in Overworld Mirror locations, then that's actually bad for Yoshi, because he'll find all the progression that's behind the mirror, but all of that will push him away from Thieves Town and away from the mirror itself.
Indeed. So really, the biggest factor right now is the mirror location.
Of course, Yoshi is in the Village of Outcasts area. Where's he going? Oh, is this... Oh, he's going right back in. He's not going up... I guess he can't get to the east side of the mountain. Hasn't found a hookshot to be able to do that, so... He's only got a couple checks left besides this.
Yeah, he's being bottlenecked, like I was saying.
Yeah.
Which is... fortunate for him, actually. Because with him not being bottlenecked... it just... shifts the lead slightly closer to being even right now.
Yep. Guess I'm trying to think of what Yoshi hasn't done yet, and the only thing that's coming to mind that he actually can do is Catfish. Which, choosing the back of Pendant Thieves for 2 items over Catfish for 1 item, that makes sense. I'll do it. And chat's also reminding me that he never actually did the purple chest despite turning in the Smith. Which, again, with no mirror, no flute, that makes sense that he hasn't done that.
Yeah, and it makes sense that Yoshi would be checking these first before heading out that way. But there is the mirror, and Yoshi is most likely very happy. And it was Ether there. I actually didn't check the medallion on the tracker until just now. Speaking of trackers, Saryu X there in chat is our tracker tonight, keeping those items up to date for you and keeping us honest, more importantly, here in the booth. So shoutouts to our trackers tonight.
Yep. Also, Chad is calling out that Yoshi did save and quit out of Thieves Town, even though he had just found the mirror, could have used that to get out. That's because he wanted to go back to Link's house, he wanted this Dark World portal, and he wanted to run over to the Dark Lake where he will be able to mirror directly to his fire rod. So that makes perfect sense.
So, we're still missing the hookshot, we're still missing the Cane of Samaria, and we're still missing the flute. And potentially a medallion for Turtle Rock. Now, based on what we know, we can actually check the medallion for Turtle Rock. And really, the only thing that can be left on pedestal, if it's not the hookshot, it has to be a medallion other than the one shared. It has to be a different medallion than the one needed for Mystery Mire. If it's not Ether.
Yeah, Ped's a low percent, and it's looking lower with every progression item we find. Yoshi is actually taking that mirror. He is the first one to make a Death Mountain play today, as Rambler went to go clear out Skull Woods, get that crystal instead.
Makes sense, you're not going to be in this area anymore.
So, Dead Rocks versus Mothula, who you got?
Dead Rocks every time. Unlike Mothula, you cannot kill Dead Rocks.
Sure you can, just powder them before you hit them.
Well, then they're technically not Dead Rocks, are they? Anyway, here for Yoshi here, we are unfortunately not seeing one of the newest tricks, which is my personal favorite new trick to be discovered recently. the Harapot. We do need the hookshot for that one.
Yep. Good news is he's got fire sources, so he can sit through the tile room and clear this dungeon.
And we have to, if the hookshot's up here. This is Rambler going to Eastern. No, it's going to Pod, finally. So the runners are syncing up here. And it's hard to tell. It at least looks pretty even right now.
Yeah. I think Rambler's got maybe a couple more checks at this point. Like, he's done Catfish and he's done Purple Chest. But Pod is not a quick dungeon, even with the boots. And back of Skull Woods is all Yoshi's got left there. That is fairly quick once he walks over there.
Actually, I just realized something. Both our runners are wearing blue mail. They got 2 different blue mails.
Where did Yoshi get his? I forget.
I think it was Pod, and Rambler found his in Graveyard Ledge, which is Mirror Lock. So I think Rambler has done the mirror checks, at least. I don't know about K45.
No, he hasn't done that one. He did the Graveyard Ledge and then ran that around into Skull Woods. Which, considering he'd already done the other boots checks at that point, the Bonk Rocks and the King's Tomb, that makes a lot of sense to do, so you're not just leaving that location sitting there. Also, chat's reminding me he did the K45, the Grove Cave, with the Purple Chest. Must not have been anything, because I don't remember what was there.
Exactly. So, Rambler does have a little bit of extra checks done and under his belt that Yoshi has not done. So, in terms of overworld, this is really hard to call who's ahead right now. Really, there's no way to call this one. There's no way.
Yeah, we're not gonna say either runner's ahead or behind at this point. It's close regardless. Yoshi's got Moldworm down for a compass. Nothing of value in here besides that crystal.
Really, the only thing going for Rambler is knowledge of the book.
Yeah, until Yoshi decides to go back and make those slow checks that Rambler's already done, I am inclined to agree with you that that's the only real thing Rambler has going for him. And really all that is knowledge that he'll find the flute at some point, and Yoshi's likely to just stumble upon that, honestly.
Yoshi gonna go straight to Turtle Rock, check the medallion. Makes sense to me. Rambler about to pick up his lamp. And it is Ether to enter Turtle Rock. So it can only be the hookshot now on pedestal for all the you pet fans out there.
We do need Kane to get into the front door of Turtle Rock still. I guess really more get beyond the front door. But that could easily be on the mountain. Still plenty of checks up here. And if we find it, Turtle Rock is full clearable.
Oh, man. Who knows what's going to happen this seed? This is insane. And we still have that mushroom. That mushroom could be something as well. Granted, we only just picked that up.
Yeah, haven't had time to turn that in yet. It is a single item fetch quest. Could be a thing, but not something I'm going to get excited for at this point, personally.
Yeah, I probably save the mushroom, actually, for now.
Just on the off chance you can fake powder with it?
Yeah. Maybe even check the mushroom item and then reset. There's the other armor for Rambler. There's the Cane of Samaria! It was, and that's in logic. Turtle Rock can be done right now. Both dungeons on the mountain are able to be done right now.
Yep, that's a classic key under the mat situation if I've ever seen it.
Yeah.
And Yoshi, he's not even bothering with Paradox Cave and Spiral Cave, even though that's more items. He's just going right into the clearable dungeon. Because if he finds the hook shot, he's... Actually, no, he's not. He still needs the flute, too. But if he finds both the flute and the hook shot, he's in go mode.
Yeah, I can see Yoshi doing it after Turtle Rock.
Oh, yeah, absolutely at this point. You do definitely do the dungeon first in cases like this, especially when the dungeon is Turtle Rock. Because the amount of time you save by go-moding Turtle Rock is minuscule in comparison to the time you save with a dungeon like Swamp Palace.
And Yoshi going the right way here. No hookshot to speed this up, so... Just gonna ride the slow ride around to light these torches.
Yep. I have seen too many runners fall victim to muscle memory on that and start going assuming they have the hook shot, because you do most of the time. So good on Yoshi not letting muscle memory trip him up there.
Yeah, thankfully there's that nice little loop at the top of the track that you can use to flip yourself around. If you catch yourself fast enough.
Yeah, but that's more than a bit of an if there.
Yeah.
Well, so far we've seen nothing but dungeon items in Turtle Rock, I believe. Pretty sure that was a compass in the other Firelock chest.
This could be our first item here on the chain chomp room. Nope, this is the big key. Wow, so all our items are pretty deep in Turtle Rock, it seems.
I mean, at this point, we're looking at 4 items on Laser Bridge plus 1 on Trinex. That's just the way this is developing.
I don't think so. It'd still be 3 items plus a key.
I mean, statistically, yeah, you're probably right, but just look at the flow of the items, man.
Is the bunny strike for the dragon another dragon?
That's what it looked like. Now, one thing Rambler's doing that I want to call out here is he is not holding out his sword. If you hold out your sword when using the hammer, that does extend the range slightly, and it prevents you from getting knocked around, facing different directions after landing hits. In general, when you're playing, especially in vanilla NMG, where you've only got like 6 or 7 hearts when you're doing this fight, you hold the sword out for safety at the expense of a little bit of lag. But Rambler's got 11 hearts, red mail, he don't care about safety.
Yeah. I'd probably do it just so that you can basically keep pressure on Helmosaur King constantly. But that's about it.
If you play perfectly, then not holding out the sword is faster. But even putting the danger factor aside, that's a bit of an if to begin with.
Yeah. I don't play perfectly. I know I don't play perfectly. But one of the reasons I do it is that if I can ever get Thomas to walk towards me, I usually get like 2 or 3 free hits with the hammer.
Yeah, that sounds about right. And because your direction gets changed when you're if you're not holding the sword out, it's a bit harder to get those free hits sometimes.
Yeah, really, you can say it's to preference. There's the magic powder.
Yeah, so decent safety item to have, except for the fact that we're not climbing Ganon's tower and we're through pretty much almost all the rooms in the dungeon that you would want the powder for. Although there is still that last maze room.
And really, powder can still be useful. Can give you a touch up on some fairies in a few dungeons, although most of those dungeons are pendants to seed.
Yeah, It's good in the Midslock dungeons, and it's all right in Thieves Town. But aside from that, its primary place is Ganon's Tower, as Yoshi finds the silver arrows. And there are a lot of places early on in Turtle Rock where there are anti-fairies you can power.
So I think the boss has the last item here. We have not found anything else of importance in Turtle Rock.
No, but I'm pretty sure we've seen both map and compass, so you're right, boss has an item. And even if Shrine X doesn't have the progression we're looking for, there's still 8 checks in the Light World that Yoshi hasn't done yet.
Indeed.
Of course, once he does those, where does he go afterwards? The obvious play is Skull Woods for one item, which we know is the single arrow. Beyond that, you're looking at Pendant Ice Palace, Hookless Swamp Palace. Not exactly appealing options.
No. If I had to choose between Pendant Ice versus Hookless Swamp, if I may be honest, actually, I'd probably pick Hookless Swamp.
Oh, I'd take Ice every single time. As Shrine X doesn't have the progression. Did have a very nice fight, though. Knocked down the heads in just one cycle and then got a quick kill on the main body.
Actually, you may be right, because there is logic in place that can make Ice Palace hookshot locked, and if you know to look for it, you can just bail out of the dungeon and know your hookshot's not there.
You could, though that does assume the only item you're looking for is a hookshot, when we are still looking for a flute as well. But then knowing that the flute would be hookshot locked in that scenario, you know not to go chasing Desert or Misery Mire for a hookshot.
And for all we know, the flute is hookshot locked. Could be on Argus for all we know.
Mm-hmm. There's a second boomerang for Yoshi, but chat's asking about Silverless Ganon being slower than Ganon with Silvers. And yes, very obviously so. But I do want to call out that the difference is small enough that even decent vanilla speedrunners do not go out of their way for silver arrows. They do tempered Silverless fights in the vanilla speedrun.
Yeah,
so that should give you a hint of how much slower.
Yeah, Bombos and a heart piece there for Yoshi. Really, the big difference between all the Ganon fights is Master Silverless versus Tempered Silverless. Tempered Sword, you can do slashes and do spin tests, do gold sword damage. Master Sword, slashes don't work, you must use spin attacks. Which takes a lot of time. And you take double the spins for phase 4 as well.
Yep. Master Sword spins do roughly half the damage of Tempered Sword spins. And we saw that Light World Death Mountain was a bust. That Bombos Medallion does not do us any good with the Fire Rod, and knowing that we needed Ether to get into Turtle Rock. I guess in theory we could have a Hookshot and Mire scenario with a Bombos to open Mire. But I'm not concerning myself about that till we find the flute.
It could do something, actually. Bombos, this is a theory here. Bombos could be our required medallion to enter Misery Mire. Misery Mire has her hookshot.
Yeah, but I'm still not concerning myself with that scenario until we find the flute.
That's fair. That's 100% fair. And really, in this scenario, the play to make... It looks in Yoshi's mind is to check the powder and the flute, power and the mushroom respectively.
He hasn't checked the powder yet, and he's not headed towards Kakariko. This could be Ice Palace from him.
Yeah. Pattern might throw me off because of the auto clip.
Yeah, because when you've got both of them they overlay each other on the menu. And tossing your mushroom will put you on powder.
So, as we see a second bottle from Rambler. So, if we see a small key early on, then I forget how the key logic works here. That makes you know it's to let you know it's hookshot locked.
1 sec, I can find it. I've got it somewhere.
But regardless, if Yoshi knows to look for it, then Yoshi can bail thinking the hookshot's not here. However, the flute's here, you might want to stick around. It's a really weird scenario.
To answer chat while I look for the Ice Palace key logic, the logic for Spike Cave is Cape and half magic or a bottle. So basically Cape and 2 magic bars or Cane of Burnout. In addition, you need the hammer and the gloves and the moon pearl. Okay, so Ice Palace key logic is if there's a big key in the Pengator room, the Freezer room, or the Iced Tea room, then the right side is hookshot locked, 100%. But if there is no big key and there is no small key in those 3 chests, that is also a 100% hookshot lock. Small key in any of those chests with no big key, then there is no hook lock. And while I was looking for that, I did not see what was in that first Pengator chest.
Compass.
Okay, so that's 1 out of 3 for no hookshot lock.
Now, there is a second thing that is a niche at this point that we should mention. If a small key is on Cold Stare, the boss is Samaria locked because of the puzzle that's normally a big problem for this dungeon and why it's so infamous. But we have means to skip it with tricks like the Ice Palace bomb jump we saw Yoshi perform. And, of course, the Cane of Samaria, which you can actually just sequence break into the middle of the play to go get. Or just go out of order. Second chest has no small key.
Okay, so we need a small key in the Pengator chest, or the right side of this dungeon is hookshot locked. Or not the Pengator chest, the Iced Tea chest. Yoshi's gonna ignore the hookshot lock and just bomb jump his way to the right side regardless. Which, like I said earlier, you're still looking for 2 items, so you don't want to ignore these chests regardless.
Yeah, and this is the right play to make, in my opinion. Because even if this dungeon is hookshot locked, you do not want to double dip ice if you can help it. This is the worst dungeon to double dip, and also the worst dungeon to die in my opinion.
I think Mire is comparably bad for dying. Turtle Rock as well as if you did not take the safety door. Also, regardless, while these runners are making checks here,
Okay, it's not hookshot
and that's
locked. Which means
well, it could still be hookshot locked if there's no small key in the Iced Tea chest. And I believe that's still possible at this point.
Could we just presume that it is a small key though, based on that?
I'm not sure we can presume anything right now, to be honest. Because the small key could be Cold Stare, it could be the big chest as well.
Well, it's not on the right side.
Also, I want to say a piece on the Samaria lock that you mentioned in Ice Palace.
Go ahead.
In 95+% of seeds, it won't matter. Because basically what'll happen is Ice Palace will be an ordinary crystal, and one of Turtle Rock or Misery Mire will also be crystals. And all a Samaria lock means is that the Cane of Samaria cannot be in Ganon's Tower. Which... There's a flute.
Okay, no, this is hookshot locked. No small key in the first 3 chests, and that I think also means that big chest is either the last item or it's this last small key?
It's a 50-50.
Yeah, it's a 50-50.
Regardless, that flute is not hookshot locked. The
No.
boss is. The big key is. That heart container was. But yeah, the dungeon as a whole, or I guess at least the progression in that dungeon, not hookshot locked. We could be
And-
looking at a hookshot in Mire.
We could also be looking at a hookshot on Ped now. It's alive.
No, it's not. Ped's dead. Cold
How's-
Stare is hookshot locked.
Ah, you're right. Ah.
That's
This is
also
what
why
he-
Yoshi didn't bother getting the pendant.
Okay, I rescind my statement earlier, but Ice Palace is the most confusing big key logic puzzle in the game.
I mean, honestly, it really is. The only reason I was able to explain it like I did is because I literally went and pulled it up.
Yeah, I don't have those notes. I try to remember everything.
On Rambler's side, he's about halfway through Turtle Rock at this point. He has exhausted all the other checks on the mountain already, so we're not going to see him go back to the Light World checks after clearing Turtle Rock like Yoshi did. But Yoshi's still got to clear Skull Woods here. And at that point, they're going to be on parity with 5 crystals each.
I think the tables have turned. I think now that Yoshi was the first one into Ice Palace, and as a result the first one to find the flute, I think Yoshi has the advantage now.
Oh yeah, with that flute location and Yoshi being the first to it by far, he's absolutely got the advantage at this point. The only question is how far he'll follow it. Because we could still see that overturned by, say, Rambler going into Swamp and the hook just being there.
That's also true.
Yeah, but that's why we're calling it advantage instead of lead at this point. Because saying that either runner is in the lead before they're in go mode is silly.
Yeah. It's not a lead until it's go mode, as far as I'm concerned.
But definitely comfortable to say that if you were to pick somebody right now, it would be Yoshi just based on that flute.
Yeah. Also, I just now noticed that both shield runners have had their shield eaten.
Yep, Yoshi got his eaten right on the way into Skull Woods.
And that's what I was talking about earlier. Fire shield has its uses, but once you're done with it, just feed it to a picket. Get rid of the creature lag reduction.
Yeah, you're talking frames over the course of an hour and a half. Yeah, whatever.
Whatever. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah, worth calling out, Yoshi had a fairly clean Mothula fight. If I recall correctly, definitely cleaner than Rambler's was. I want to compare Rambler's Trinex fight to what Yoshi did, because Yoshi had a really clean one. Pretty much any mistakes by Rambler in this would be losing him time.
And Yoshi now seeing that the flute was in fact required. An hour and 11 minutes in.
Also, just to clarify some things for chat, Mothula's drop was a single arrow, not a hook shot. And Rambler used real powder, not fake powder, to restore his health there.
Double ether for our dungeon requirements tonight.
Hookshot and Mire continues to live.
Cape.
Okay, so decent Trinex fight from Rambler. Not the absolutely textbook one it was on Yoshi's side, but we're talking maybe a couple seconds difference at most. That was well done.
Indeed. So all comes down to the hunt for the hookshot and who will make the choice first.
Yes, though it is still worth noting, even if Rambler finds the hook shot first, he still has to find the flute. Because at this point, it is looking unlikely that Rambler will find a flute blocked hook shot before Yoshi.
Indeed. Rambler. Okay, gotta go check the mushroom. For a moment there, I thought the madman was going to do a swamp dive.
I mean, you said earlier you would choose Swamp Dive over Ice Palace Dive, so why wouldn't Rambler?
I suppose that is true. Now, something to note is those boots we had way back at the start of the season, those were required! Desert Torch had the big key!
Yeah, these requirements become so much less interesting when you've had them for an hour and 15 minutes already.
Pretty much.
But they exist.
And there's our third medallion.
Yep. Not particularly interesting, unfortunately. We know we don't need it. Now, where's Rambler off to? Rambler doesn't know where Rambler's off to.
Rambler's becoming a wanderer instead of a rambler.
Looks like Landmola's has an item. Yoshi has both a map and a compass. That item could be the hookshot.
I just realized Pyramid Fairy's also dead because we cannot get our 5-6 out of Swamp.
Rambler's checking Magic Powder.
This could be hookshot.
This is a new check for us. And yeah, if it's hookshot, when does Yoshi come do it?
I would say relatively soon. No one wants to go into Swamp without the hookshot.
He's still got a whole Misery Miter he can do, though.
Indeed, that is also true.
It's not, though.
Yeah.
So Yoshi's watching the cutscene that is just as long as the cutscene chest in Misery Mire. It doesn't feel that way because you can actually see it moving. But opens up a boss door. And very, very clean Landmola skill. That's about as good as you can ask for with a Fire Rod. But no hookshot.
Unfortunately, it's just money on the boss. But that is our 6th crystal of the match.
Yep. And Rambler, he's making, well, you say this is the right play. I don't necessarily agree, even though we know the progression is here. Like, basically, for Rambler to win this race, he needs a hook shot that is, well, no, Yoshi's not going Mire. There's a Spike K from him.
Ether Tablet.
Ether Tablet, then probably Spike Cave afterwards. But regardless, I was thinking Rambler to win this race in the state it's in probably needs a hook shot that's not flute locked, and then needs to not, like, he needs Yoshi to be baited into Mire and whatnot looking for it. But he's finding the flute here, so that's not happening for him.
There is still the off chance that Rambler immediately dives Swamp, hoping that it's just a Go Mode Swamp, because there are sort of a pseudo Go Mode Swamp, in which it's got a French vanilla hook shot. But the odds of him doing that are pretty slim. Still,
yeah, when you've got a...
Go ahead.
Sorry. I was going to say, when you've got a Desert Palace, you've got a Misery Mire in front of you that you can clear looking for a hook shot. Going into Hookless Swamp, definitely not an appealing proposition.
No. But I will say that if Rambler does make that play and it ends up paying out, then he is suddenly in the lead because Yoshi would have wasted so much time doing all those tricks. It's a really interesting call to make, is what I'm saying. Trying to get it at here. I don't think they're gonna make it, but if they do, this race could go either way, really.
Yeah, it does require him to make a call that it's not looking like he's going to make at this point to get that most interesting scenario. And we did see nothing on Ether Tablet, nothing in Spike Cave. Where's Yoshi off to next? And that was a bomb strat I've never actually seen before in that room from Rambler, where he threw the second bomb up to the north, and it looked like knocked a Pengator into it to kill it.
Never actually seen that before, but it worked.
Okay, it looks like Yoshi is doing the purple chest. And he's combining it with the magic bat. Did he ever check K45, the Grove Cave? I can't remember.
He did not, I don't think. And Rambler messing up the bomb jump, but this is actually good for him.
Yeah, this will drag him into the iced tea room, which at the very least, he can save the time of not checking the right side, since if he knows the logic, he'll realize it's hookshot locked. So he can just take his flute, save a minute or so, and go. We'll see if he actually does that.
Realized it. He's out.
So that is some time save for him. But he's still a Desert Palace clear behind Yoshi at this point, and it looks like he's sort of following the same route. And even with Yoshi walking this purple chest so that he can check the Grove Cave along the way, that's not so long of a walk that Rambler will have Desert done by the time.
Bombos. I just realized Bombos is also on the route for Yoshi.
Oh, yeah, and that could absolutely be it as well. Also, something else to keep in mind with this seed. This is a fast Ganon seed. There is no Ganon's Tower equalizer potential here.
No.
You get your crystal out of Swamp Palace, you run to the pyramid, you drop down, you kill Ganon. There is no big key Ganon's Tower routing, there is no Gauntlet execution, there is no Moldorm Falls.
And speaking of which,
You just go.
Yoshi's gonna perform a little magic here.
Yep. When you do that mirror, the chest doesn't quit being a follower for a little bit afterwards, so you can just walk up, turn it in, even though the chest is nowhere to be seen.
Alright. Is it Bombos for the hook shot? Nope.
Where does Yoshi go next after this? He's got the mirror. Does he just go straight into Swamp?
You're in the area. Might as well.
Yeah, if you want to choose that over Meyer, then now is the time to do it. And it looks like that's what it's going to be.
I do like the play that Yoshi is doing here. Because it's only 2 items in Meyer that could be the hook shot. Whereas there's up to, I believe, 6, I believe, if I'm doing my math right?
There's only 5 chests, and one of those is the big chest. So really only 4 items. And that's assuming no map compass.
Yeah. So really, Yoshi's playing his item density regardless, but could be the right move.
Yeah, at this point, like you said, it is... Well, I was going to say it is the density play. It might be the density play. We don't actually know. If both the map and the compass are in the front, then I would take Meyer over this front of Swamp for density. Both at 2 items.
Well, big key, which is 1 for 1.
Big key is the one dungeon item that doesn't actually kill the possibility of 4 items in the front of Swamp Palace.
No. I'm trying to think what else Yoshi has to check besides this and Misery Mire, and nothing comes up. He's done a fairly good job routing the overworld here.
At the very least, he's still got the Graveyard Ledge, which will give him his red mail. He may have Catfish as well. I don't believe we've seen that from him, but it was junk regardless.
Yeah, a couple of one-off locations, but there are more. We know they're chunks.
There. What? That's a vanilla hookshot. Yoshi is in go mode.
Yep, an hour, 22 minutes, and he's got 6 crystals in hand. Yoshi's going to be done with this seed within 4 or 5 minutes, tops.
Yeah, it's just a dash north after he finished the dungeon.
And yeah, unfortunately, that is probably the dagger in Rambler's tournament run, which you hate to see. Because he's still got to finish Desert, then he's got to not go Mire, go straight to Swamp. And at this point, it's going to require a ton to make this close.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yoshi's got 16 hearts. When did that happen?
I don't know. Rambler's got 15 red.
I think...
This was a very healthy seed.
Yeah. Yeah, 16 hearts, blue mail, half magic. Gonna get a refill from killing Argus.
I believe.
Tempered
Yoshi
sword,
also,
silver arrows.
Not to mention, I think Yoshi also bought a blue potion.
I think he did when he turned in his mushroom, yeah.
Even as the cape, if he wants to play super safe against the boss. That is Ganon.
Was going for the most difficult strat in the game with that 0 cycle Argus. Doesn't quite get it, but still knocks everything out really quickly and is rewarded with having to sit through a no-puff cycle for his troubles. 1 silver arrow, and that's pretty synced crystal grabs. Rambler grabbing his a little ahead and getting that sword up as Yoshi grabs his crystal.
And with that final crystal, folks, we don't have a game we like to play, unfortunately, because this is Fast Ganon. It is now time to fight the pig. Yoshi just has to make a sprint over to the pyramid, which is already open here on the Defeat Ganon goal, and it will be time to defeat Ganon.
Yep, he's got his hammer out. He's just going to roll right over the bridge. And he's, what, 3 screen transitions away now?
Yeah. I like that chat is also doing a secondary guessing game because you don't get to see the faking guessing game. They're deciding to guess how many Ganon teleports. Which is actually fair because Ganon's teleports are seeded. Both of them have the same RNG as long as they don't fall or die on the fight.
Yeah. If we do see a fall, then that throws everything out of whack. But you don't wish that on the runners here.
But anyway, here we go. Portal reference. So, Tempered Sword in hand, it'll be 12 slashes or 6 spins per phase to start things off here.
You got that double spin off the Trident, which made the 1 cycle phase 1 free. Using Kate means that the 1 cycle phase 2 is also free. And Here come the teleport.
Nope. That is also another 12 hit cycle or 6 spins. 1 hit when Ganon stops teleporting each in phase 3. No fake teleports thus far. Probably jinxed it. Yep.
That's how it goes.
And then finally we have the darkness technique. Keep the torches lit, hit Ganon to stun him, and then let loose 4 silver arrows. The game was over when the 4th silver lands. Should Yoshi have missed not have silver arrows, which good luck with that. It would be 3 spin attacks per missed arrow to wrap up the seed.
Yep, but that is the 4th arrow. That is Ganon exploding, and all Yoshi's got to do is cross the 1x3 bridge.
Ladies and gentlemen, get your GGs in chat for Yoshi, who is finished in 1st place, officially now with a time of 1 hour, 26 minutes, and 47 seconds, moving on in this tournament and eliminating NYRambler. But what a good race this was. A lot of back and forth happening up until we found that hook shot, really.
Yep. Really, that's what it came down to. Yoshi made a brilliant early play looking for that flute, found it, and was able to just run everything correctly there. Wasn't baited into Meyer, wasn't baited further into Thieves than he had to, and read that vanilla hookshot like a book, as we are unfortunately seeing Rambler baited into Meyer here. He's not going to find the hookshot here, but who knows?
I was about to say, speaking of Meyer bait,
now, Rambler here is about to enter probably the hardest room in the game for general execution. He doesn't have sword beams, he doesn't have a rod equip, so he'll just be dashing through these Popos and Wizrobes and just trying to clear these out as quickly as he can. That's pretty reasonable clear of it for not having any range equip. But if you want to show off that you are good at Link to the Past, that room is one of the ones to do it in.
alright, I have now asked, and it seems that Yoshi has declined the interview, but GG's to him all the same. What a race this was.
Yep. And Yoshi will be advancing to the round of 32. He will face the winner of Christos Owen and Zero Rush. For those of you who didn't watch the first two games between them yesterday, you would be in for quite a treat if you did go watch them. I recommend it. Unfortunately, we don't know who his opponent is.
Currently. If you're watching this on YouTube, you probably already know, based on looking at the playlist or something like, I don't know.
So Rambler is hunting down items in Meyer. I believe we've seen big key, small key, compass so far, and another small key.
Now, let's just talk about the seed here a little bit while we have some time here as Rambler's finishing up. This seed felt like it could go either way, really. It started with Rambler finding the mirror early, but it was locking so much of the seed that Yoshi was able to catch up, and then it was bouncing back and forth again, and then Yoshi found the flute, which gave him a slight advantage, and then checked Swamp, and then just blew straight ahead and blasted into the finish line. Completely catching me off guard, certainly.
Yeah, that vanilla hook was probably the biggest surprise of the seed. But a lot of the early checks this seed were coming up Rambler's way. Like you said, that mirror, especially.
We see Yoshi in chat, by the way. Yoshi will do an interview.
Yeah.
He wins the tournament.
I mean, if you're going to pick one person to win the tournament, picking Yoshi, especially from the way he showed today and what he's shown in his previous matches, not a bad pick. Like, the way this tournament is seeded, I said it before, but Yoshi is the number 3 seed in this bracket. And with the quality of this bracket, the quality of the group stage, you don't get seeded that highly without being really damn good.
Yeah. And Rambler, to his credit, like I said, had some good routing choices here. But I think it really just... I think this race came down to luck, honestly. And unfortunately, Rambler not finding that hook shot, not going to spend ice right away, which granted, I don't blame him. And ice is not my first pick. Far from it.
Yeah, the early checks are the ones that came up Rambler's way this seed. But honestly, the more I think about it, the later checks are the ones that came up Yoshi's way. And he was able to do some of those early checks that did come up Rambler in a more efficient fashion. And in addition to that, the execution, I think, definitely favored Yoshi this seed, and he was able to just play it more cleanly.
Yeah, it really came down. I think the early advantages that Rambler had were outweighed by the late game advantages that Yoshi had. And there's the shovel on Victorious. Oh no! Well, he'll be misled for a little bit.
Yeah, he got 2 fetch quests off Vitreous there between that shovel and that green pendant. So that's 2 things he can do before running into Swamp.
Quick flip to 5 to check the green pendant most likely, then to 4, and then hopefully to Swamp? No, starting with the shovel. I will give credit where it's due. At this point, Rambler knows he's lost. I believe if he was paying attention to IRC. Because there is a 20-minute delay, and these runners essentially win at the same time. But good on him for not just saying, I'm done. He's gonna finish the seed strong.
Yeah, absolutely no shame in doing that, especially when it's your last run of the tournament. Finish it up, give it a show.
Indeed. And really, the best way I can put it is if you always forfeit all of your seeds, you're never really going to get better, are you? If you think about it that way, on a larger scale.
On a larger scale, yeah. And besides that, I said it earlier, but there were no bad runners even in the group stage of this tournament, the top 128. Rambler came out of that to make it to the top 64, and even though this seed didn't turn up his way, I think he has still shown why. Definitely put together a very solid run here, even if some of these decisions haven't really given him the edge that he needed to win.
And here we go, here's Swamp. It's interesting to note that we haven't found the Cane of Burna, but I guess it doesn't really matter. It must be in GT along with the net.
We did see it. It was on the bumper ledge.
Alright.
The thing we didn't see is the gold sword, and the net, both of which are probably in GT.
Yeah, probably. We know that Ped was arrows thanks to the text vampire seers that appeared on Yoshi's end, so at least that mystery was solved for us.
Yeah, and I think we saw... Actually, we didn't see Rambler check the shovel, did we?
We did. It was a heart piece.
Oh, right. Yeah, that happened.
And Chad is also pointing out, could have been Vanilla Gold Sword. A lot of strange things happened this race. Really.
Yeah. And we said it already. We've seen it on Yoshi's side already. But we're honestly about to see the strangest of them in this seed.
Yeah. No one expects a vanilla hookshot in these. Ugh.
The only thing that could have made it better was the big key on the left side.
Or worse, depending on who you ask. I'd say it would be the latter.
It'd be more vanilla.
There's Goma for Rambler. Rambler!
Gotta grab the key, friend.
Muscle memory there, I think, kicked in.
Yeah, I guess if you play enough rando, your muscle memory would be that you already have the key when you open the big chest. But in MG, muscle memory is actually that you have to open that and then hook over to the key like we saw in this seed, so... And yeah, we're seeing Rambler in the exact same situation Yoshi was, really. Oh,
There's
he
the
is
fourth
grabbing
bottle.
the bottle up. That's pretty clutch. That's a magic refill that he's not going to need with half magic.
Yeah, because Rambler is knows he's lost. He's checking the last check scores like he did in the previous race. So that's just that we found that bottle. We actually did not know that was there.
Yeah, and I completely forgot we hadn't found it because even though there's a big 3 inside the bottle on the tracker, I just saw the bottle lit up and was like, oh, hey, we found the bottles.
Well, it's not lit up on Yoshi's end.
The bottle itself is. It just says 3 instead of 4.
I suppose. You only really need one bottle. Anyway, here comes the Argus bite, and there goes Argus.
Yep. No attempt of the 0 cycle strat from Rambler like we saw Yoshi try, which, to be fair, I am of the opinion that that is the single most difficult strategy in the game, because you basically have to just continually hook dash with your sword out, and the dash causes the tempered sword to do full damage to the pus, and you have to do it pretty much perfectly to kill Argus in 0 cycles.
Java was asking where half magic was, and I've actually forgotten.
It was on the Helmasaur King, so neither runner missed it.
Yeah. Anyway, we know this is only going to be a 1 fake teleport Ganon. And I think Rambler has the blue in his back pocket. If not, it doesn't matter in the long run. He's got way too much health in red mail.
I think he did pick one up when he did the mushroom turn-in, but yeah, you're right. Unless he decides he wants to just tank everything and then some with his face, there's pretty much no risk here.
Yeah, because... let's put it this way, NMG runners of this game, they do Ganon with 14 hearts, green mail. We have 16 hearts, red mail. So yeah, pretty safe. Oh, was trying to get the trident spin there and missed it. And unfortunately does miss the double cycle there. Now,
he had an extra slash there before trying for the trident spin, and that meant he didn't have enough time to charge his sword. It happens.
Now, I think this doesn't affect the teleport. Random teleports in the 3rd phase.
Shouldn't.
So there's the fake.
Yep, and it's no impact.
That slash missed. That
Still gets the silver in.
No,
oh,
he
missed. He does go and get the torch glitch, which notably Yoshi didn't do. Basically, when you've got silver arrows,
not really.
Not getting the torch glitch lets you easily set up doubles or triples, where with the torch glitch, you're generally going to get singles in a lot of cases, like Rambler showed. But doesn't really matter, it's a few seconds. It's basically if you're playing for absolute top-end times. Anyways, GG's for NYRambler, finishing this race with an official time of 1 hour, 41 minutes, and 8 seconds.
And it looks like we will not, unfortunately, have an interview because we actually have to get ready here because we have another race on the docking here for us, don't we?
Yes, we do. Give me 1 sec. I'll pull up the details on that.
Actually, don't we join?
Oh, we are joined by Rambler for a quick interview.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
GG.
Well,
Thank you.
Good effort. It's unfortunate that you're eliminated, but you actually did have one minor advantage going forward. A very minor one. You were the first to find the mirror and the boots.
Oh, well, the boots were super early, and the way I routed it, I figured I would probably be a little bit ahead of him. But yeah, I figured a lot of players will just check front 4 and leave, but I felt that it was so stingy the beginning part of the seed that I decided to finish off Thieves Town and it paid off. The mirror was there, but yeah, the vanilla hook shot is just going to give me every time. I'm not going to make that play ever.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. And then also the seed sort of bottlenecked on that mirror to get to the East Mountain, which didn't let you press that advantage as hard as we were sort of hoping to see.
Yeah.
But I will say you definitely gave a run. I think that showed why you made to at least the top 64 of the tournament. So good job.
Oh yeah,
on that.
I surpassed my expectations by a lot. Like last year, I didn't even qualify, and I was just like, yeah, well, we'll give it another shot this year, see what happens. And my first 3 qualifiers where it was a good one and 2 bad ones. Like, all right, we'll see what happens. Then I put back to back like really insane qualifiers, and then I'm getting a 2 seed. I was like, oh, we'll see what happens now. And then won in groups, barely, but I won in groups and made it to at least back in the top 64. So I'm proud of myself for that.
Yeah, you can absolutely hold your head high there.
And I can't be mad at your performance either for willingly finishing these seeds despite knowing that your opponent has finished.
Oh, I don't know that he's finished. I don't open until it's over.
You don't open until you're done?
I don't look until it's over, until Ganon's dead. I never look.
Okay, that's fair. That's always fair.
The only time I looked was against Gem because the seed was still terrible. I didn't want to finish it, and that's the only reason why I looked against him. Is like I brought it up, and in like race 1, I brought it up, and he hadn't finished yet either. So I was like, all right, I'll keep going. But yeah, also seems like this seems really bad, but I was determined to finish it because I knew the hook shot had to be either behind that flute or in swamp somewhere. It couldn't be anywhere else. It couldn't be in Ice Palace anymore. It couldn't be. It had to be either. I was hoping if it's behind the flute, I'm probably ahead because I think that Yoshi just did desert and then went back to swamp and didn't do Mire or the book locations.
That's actually exactly what Yoshi did. Yoshi avoided Mire.
Yeah, I was hoping Mire had the answer. Because if Mire had the answer, I'm probably winning this race. And we're going to game 3.
It just didn't turn out that way today, unfortunately.
Yeah. You know, vanilla hook shot. I mean, I was thinking about it. It's in the back of my mind. Like when I got the mirror, it opened up swamp, but it also opened up a lot of other things, including Death Mountain once I found Lamp and Pod, of course.
Anyways, I don't want to cut you off here, but since we do have to be off the air in a couple minutes, I want to run through the schedule for the rest of the night.
Yeah,
starting in under 10 minutes on this channel, we've got Weighty Words versus Rywick. Stick around if you want to see that. Starting about 20 minutes ago on Speed Gaming 3, we have Kappa versus R.D. Walsh. And a pair of games at 9:20 p.m. Eastern, which is about an hour and 10 from now. Game 2 of Sabotender versus Andy on twitch.tv/speedgaming. And Game 3 of Amazing Ampharos and Doomtap on Speed Gaming 4.
And later on in the evening, at 11:20, is the final match, at least from our tournament side, Willow J. Bradley versus Asder. That's also on Speed Gaming as well. And of course, make sure to follow our 2 runners here, putting on an excellent race for us tonight. Really good job on both their parts. Also, make sure to follow my co-commentator Reg here, as well as Seru X. And of course, make sure to follow Speed Gaming and Speed Gaming 2 through 6 so you don't miss any racing action. Not just a link to Fast Randomizer. We need to make some room here for the next race, which would be a good one. Like you said, it is game 1 of, I have just put it down. It is game 1 of Weighty Words versus Rywick. That should be a good one. But until next time, folks, from all of us here at Link to Fast Randomizer, I have been Wolfling0370, and we shall see you all in a few minutes. But thank you for watching all the same. Have a good night, everyone.
Yep. See y'all over some other race.